My name is Mary Garbage, and I'm here today with some of my colleagues to explain to you the physics and other facts about airport security metal detectors. If you've never been to the airport or experienced a flight, then you should know that there's always a security check-in at the airports. The purpose of them is to detect any metal or unforeign objects and make sure it doesn't get on the plane to harm other individuals.
It's important for airports to have metal detectors because it prevents terrorists and other criminals from sneaking objects onto the plane. Since 9/11, airport security has increased, and we now have to live in a world where we must be prepared for anything like 9/11. It is a much safer environment because of the metal detectors and detecting all objects that passengers board on the plane. Metal detectors are also a fast way to make sure everyone has what they need with them and doesn't bring anything dangerous onto the plane.
Now you're going to learn all the physics behind metal detectors. A metal detector contains a coil of wire known as a transmitter coil. When electricity flows through the coil, a magnetic field is created all around it. As you sweep the detector over the ground, you make the magnetic field move around too. If you move the metal detector over a metal object, the moving magnetic field affects the atoms inside the metal. In fact, it changes the way the electrons orbiting around those move. So when you move a metal detector over a piece of metal, the magnetic field coming from the detector causes another magnetic field to appear around the metal. It's the second magnetic field around the metal that the detector picks up. The metal detector has a second coil of wire in its head that's connected to a circuit containing a loudspeaker. As you move the detector about over the piece of metal, the magnetic field produced by the metal cuts through the coil. Now, if you move a piece of metal through a magnetic field, you make electricity flow through it. So as you move the detector over the metal, electricity flows through the receiver coil, making the loudspeaker click or beep. The closer you move the transmitter coil to the piece of metal, the stronger the magnetic field the transmitter coil creates in it. The stronger the magnetic field the metal creates in the receiver coil, the more the current that flows in the loudspeaker and the louder the noise.
The detector is like a doorway pathway. So it's open space on both sides, but there's two compartments on the side and at the top. As you proceed through the metal detector, you must be assured to remove any jewelry, metallic belt buckles, sweatshirts with the metal zippers, and anything else in that kind of sense. And almost all airport metal detectors are based on the pulse indication. Typically, a PI system uses coil on wire on one side of the arc as a transmitter and receiver. This technology sends powerful short bursts of impulses of current through the coil of wire. Each pulse generates a brief magnetic field. When the pulse ends, the magnetic field reverses polarity and collapses very suddenly, which results in a sharp electrical spike. The spike lasts a few microseconds and causes another current to run through the coil. For your knowledge, a microsecond is just an expression of millionths of a second. This current that follows is called the reflected pulse and lasts only about 30 microseconds. This form of system is repetitive. A typical PI-based metal detector sends about 100 pulses per second. Metal object, passes through the metal detector. The pulse creates an opposite magnetic field in the object. When the pulse's magnetic field collapses, it causes the reflected pulse, where the magnetic field of the object makes it take longer for the reflected pulse to completely disappear. This process works something like echoes. To help you understand what an echo is, think of this scenario. If you yell in a room with only a few hard surfaces, you probably hear only a very brief echo. But if you yell in a room with a lot of hard surfaces, you will hear a longer lasting echo. In a PI metal detector, the magnetic fields from target objects add their echo to the reflected pulse, making it last a fraction longer than it would without them. A circuit in the metal detector is set to monitor the length of the reflected pulse by comparing it to the expected length. The circuit can determine if another magnetic field has caused the reflected pulse to take longer to decay. If the decay of the reflected pulse takes more than a few microseconds, longer than normal. And there is probably while you're stepping through the metal detector, your carry-on items have to go through the X-ray systems. A conveyor belt that keeps moving forward carries each item bag past the X-ray machine. X-rays are like light in that they are electromagnetic waves, but they are more energetic, so they can penetrate many materials. The machine used in airports usually is based on a dual energy X-ray system. This system has a single X-ray source sending out X-rays, typically in the range of 140 to 160 kilovolt peaks. A key VP refers to the amount of penetration an X-ray makes. The higher the key VP, the further the X-ray penetrates. After the X-ray passes through the item, after the X-rays pass through the item, they are picked up by the detector. This detector then passes the X-rays onto a filter, which blocks out the lower energy X-rays. The remaining high energy X-rays hit a second detector, and a computer circuit compares the pickups of the two detectors to better represent low energy objects such as most organic materials. Since different materials absorb X-rays at different levels, the image on the monitor lets the machine operator see distinct items inside your bag. Items are typically colored on the display monitor based on the range of energy that passes through the object to represent one of the three main categories: organic, inorganic, or metal. And in the United States, most major airports have a computer tomography, which is a CT scan. A CT scanner is a hollow tube that surrounds your bag. The X-ray mechanism revolves slowly around it, bombarding it with X-rays and recording the resulting data. Standing, and to provide a visual, we will conduct a demonstration of show and tell. Unfortunately, with the inconvenience of the upcoming holidays, the airport and mall security were too busy to allow permission to use their up-to-date security metal detector technology. So, what we have planned for you is a handheld metal detector. With this device, we will scan the entire body for any metallic or foreign objects, where there would be none found. Then we will give the testee a pair of keys to hold and see if the metal detector senses them. Operating this handheld metal detector is quite easy and efficient. Right here is the power control box connected with the wand used to roam around objects for detection. Right here is the on and off switch. You hold down for on and let it sit like this for off. When you press on, you get a field of light for detection. Up here is the knob of sensitivity. Generally have it in medium to high position. Now, first instructions to operating this is to press and hold the power switch into the on position. With the power switch in the on position, the LED light will illuminate the detection area. Move the wand portion over the tool or work material. When work is complete, release the power, switch it off the tool.
Today I'm going to explain how the metal detector works. The doors at the airport, it's in the format of door. In the airports they have metal detector doors, but they work when you go through a door, you go through it, and if it's deep, you have metal on it on yourself, so you have to take all of your keys, your coins, or whatever you have in your pocket. You have to take it off, and they have to check you. If the metal detector door beeps, you have to go through, and then the security man have to check you. If he doesn't have anything, on him, and if he has a keys. If he has keys on him, so the metal detector would just go through all of his body, and then beep if he has keys like that. All body, you see over here, it doesn't beep because he doesn't have anything on this part. So look over here, it does beep.
As the flight attendant passes through security check-in, she places her bag on the conveyor belt. As it passes through the conveyor belt, the metal detector will detect any metal or foreign objects.
Detectors aren't just used to find coins on the beach. You can see them in walk-through scanners, at the airport, and in many kinds of scientific research. They're designed to stop people from carrying guns, knives, and other objects onto airplanes or into other secure places such as hospitals or prisons. Archaeologists often frown on untrained people using metal detectors to disturb important artifacts, but used properly and with respect, metal detectors can be valuable tools in historic research.
Fun facts you didn't know. Metal detectors date back to the shooting of U.S. President James A. Garfield in 1881. One of the bullets aimed at the president's body and it couldn't be found. Telephone pioneer Alexander Graham Bell promptly cobbled together an electromagnetic metal locating device called an induction balance based on an earlier invention by German physicist Heinrich Wilhelm Dove. Although the bullet wasn't found and the president later died, Bell's device worked correctly and it was known as the very first electromagnetic metal locator.
I'm gonna say one fact. Portable metal detectors were invented by German-born electronics engineer Gerard Fischer.
Gerard Fischer called his invention the metalloscope. It's a method and means for indicating the presence of buried metals such as ores or pipes.
Did you know that Dr. Charles R. Garrett, founder of Garrett Electronics, pioneered modern electronic metal detectors in the 1970s?
His company revolutionized the field with a series of innovations, including the first computerized metal detector featuring digital signal processing in 1987.
For our TED Talk topic, in a few years we'll include the advancements of security metal detectors. Could you imagine elevator metal scanners? It would make it a faster process at the airport. A metal detector that can scan above you and your belongings. It'll be moving with you at constant speed, and it'll make your process a whole lot faster and easier for you to go through checkout at the airport, making it more convenient and a better situation.
Thank you for tuning in with my colleagues and I on this TED Talk. We hoped we informed you on the physics behind the everyday metal detectors you encounter at places you normally would visit, such as hospitals, schools, or airports. This is the future of technology. This will help make our world a more efficient and safe place to live in by minimizing dangerous metal objects.
Sir, can you get up against the wall right now? Oh, they're just keys and not a dangerous threat. Thank you, you can go out.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on our next TED Talk. We hope to have bettered your understanding on metal detectors.